Thank everyone for logging in that's online. Have a happy Friday. We're going to go right into Professor Jacqueline Penhos, who will be giving our lecture on mindfulness, self-compassion, the permission slip you keep forgetting you have. So with that, I will turn it over to the good professor. Take it away, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I can't sit down. I have to stand up. Yes, hi, baby. Good evening to you too. Um, Thank you everyone for being here. I'm going to look at you and then I'm also going to look on camera. Hi, friends on Zoom. Thank you so much for sharing your Friday. Um, I am very grateful and happy to be here. My name is Jacqueline Penhos. I am a associate psychology professor, meditation guide and teacher, and holistic mental health therapist. And today we're going to talk about mindfulness, self-compassion. So show of hands, have you heard that word before? Okay, like 90% of the room. And online, maybe you could give me thumbs up or hands up with an emoji. I'm seeing smiles. Okay, I'll take that. Wonderful. Before we get started, I want to do a land acknowledgement. We're in San Diego, California. And for the folks online, if you want to put in the chat where you're joining us from, if you feel comfortable. Um, We are in San Diego now, but the original ancestors of the sacred land are the Ipai, Tipai, and Kumeyaay people. So I want to make sure that we give them the proper credit for the land that we're on and the land that we're borrowing, that's stolen land. So very important for me to do that land acknowledgement before we get started. It's a little bit about me. So during the talk today, it's going to be more of a conversation, but I do want to remind everyone that it's a safe and brave space. If anything that you hear today makes you feel uncomfortable, please make sure that you take care of yourself first. Um, I like to share that nothing should be activating, but we all have different triggers and we all have different things that come up. But again, online, if you need to step away from your computer or step away from your space, and here, if you need to step away right outside the door, please make sure that you take care of yourself first. Um, I will be sharing some of my personal story. What I'll be sharing about mindfulness, self-compassion is not just an opinion, it's actually evidence-based and backed by science. So I hope you take a lot of the gems that I'm going to share with you. It's not so much, we're not going to be having a healing circle, but instead a space of how to begin healing if that's what you choose to do. And friends online, can you hear me okay? And can you see the screen okay? Okay. So during a lot of my childhood, I would hear a phrase that goes a little something like this. What is wrong with you? Has anyone heard that before? Oh my. Okay, so I got smiles, frowns, and hands up. And someone online as well. So there is a doctor, her name is Sandra Bloom. She's changing that narrative. Instead of saying, what is wrong with you? She started asking the question to her students and some of her patients, what happened to you? So I want you to go back if it feels comfortable and think back to the little you, maybe when you were 5, maybe when you were 7, maybe 10. How would life be different if someone would have asked, are you okay? How would things have changed if someone asked, what happened? Instead of saying, what's wrong? And if we could just take a few seconds to just even think about that, if it's okay with you to go back to that memory. So thinking about what happened to you instead of what's wrong with you does automatically what to the nervous system, if any word comes up. Conscious, yes. And for my friends online, the word was consciousness. Anything else?
It feels like a hug versus being attacked.
I like that. Ooh, empathy. From my friends online, consciousness comes up as a word, a hug instead of an attack, and also the word empathy. Thank you for sharing that. So I want to talk about four types of trauma. There is the number one type of trauma, which is trauma with a big T. And this is when single events happen. So think about abuse or assault or disaster or a personal challenge that we had. Then there's trauma with a little t, and this is a repeated stress, maybe neglect, bullying, um, chronic stress, daily stress. We have collective trauma, shared community wounds, racism, pandemic, the pandemic that we're healing that happened 5 years ago. We're still healing from that. I don't know if you are, I am still healing from that, and it's been 5 years. And then also systemic oppression, which happens to a lot of people of color, ethnic, and different racial groups. The fourth type of trauma is intergenerational trauma. And that's a trauma that we don't talk about and we need to talk about. That is trauma that is passed down through family, generations, and sometimes the culture that you belong to. Um, have you heard of intergenerational trauma? Okay, I'm getting a lot of nods. Friends online. I appreciate the thumbs up and turning the camera on. That's one of the best feelings when you're doing a talk or teaching and you just see a bunch of blank squares. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. It means a lot when you're standing up here. So thank you for that. Yes, yes. How sacred is that? It's his first time that I have a baby in the room. Um, I'm trying to click over to the next slide and we're going to get there. Okay. Mm,
Arrow?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we're supposed to stay on this slide and talk about it a bit more. Maybe.
How about the page
What
down?
about corner? What about their slide control? Lower left.
Lower left corner. Ah, here we go. Thank you, Denny. Thank you, thank you. Woo! Okay. So now that we talked about what the talk is, mindfulness, self-compassion, the permission slip that you always forget that you have, right? Please remember you have that permission slip. Remember to keep it in your pocket, in your wallet, in your purse, in your backpack, somewhere on your person, right? Then we talked about the types of trauma. Now I want to talk about what the actual definition of self-compassion is. It's actually a science and it's a struggle. Why do we say it's a science and why is it a struggle? What does anyone know? Anyone know online? Yes,
Well, I think the science might be that it's much easier to be compassionate to another person when you
always.
see that they need it, and
Yes,
it's much more difficult to give yourself the same treatment.
very good. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to repeat that for the friends online. The science behind it is it's always nice to be a friend to someone else. And matter of fact, we're always the best friend to someone else. But when it comes to being kind, patient, and compassionate with ourselves, that's the struggle. And that's the part that most of us often miss. So Dr. Kristen Neff did not create mindfulness self-compassion. However, she coined it and she has written many books and devoted the past 20 years of her life to research. And she came up with three common concepts: self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. Self-kindness, the definition is in the word, being kind to yourself. Always remember to being patient, kind, and compassionate to yourself, treating yourself with the same love and compassion that you treat everyone else. We treat strangers on the street better than we treat ourselves, oftentimes. Second part is that common humanity. We're in San Diego, California, United States, and maybe we are struggling with an aging parent. Maybe we went through a divorce. Maybe we are having some type of grief or pain or sorrow. And guess what? Someone in a different country or continent is experiencing the same thing. A beautiful and dear friend of mine always says, sitting with the discomfort. And it took me time to really understand that. It's very uncomfortable to sit with the discomfort. However, that's where that clarity piece comes. And remembering that there is a common humanity and everyone struggles, everyone experiences pain, everyone experiences some type of failure, and that's okay. And the third one is mindfulness. And the fact that we are sharing space on a Friday night, being at a mindfulness talk right now, lets me know that everyone online and everyone in front of me wants to be more mindful, because I'm sure you could have been anywhere else this evening, but you chose to be here to talk about mindfulness, self-compassion. I want to talk about the section here that is highlighted in light yellow, why survivors often resist. When we talk about survivors, everyone has had some type of trauma. Sometimes we confuse the word survivor. And I'm not going to dare ask you to raise your hand to tell me if you've had trauma, because if you have been a human existing in this world that we live in, we've experienced some type of pain. And that's okay, because that's that human experience. Often survivors resist because they don't think they deserve kindness. Kindness feels unfamiliar or even threatening. And there's that threat response activation. Many of us live in fight or flight every single day, instead of being in rest and digest, which is the best thing for our nervous system. When we walk out this door in about, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes, a bear is not going to be chasing us. We don't have to go run for our lives. However, we're always in that fight or flight state. I'm always reminding students, relax, take a deep breath, lower your heart rate. Fear the self-compassion means excusing what happened and then backdraft. And that's when self-compassion surfaces old pain. Now let's see if we could go on to the next slide. Oh, we'll go here. So we're unpacking mindfulness, self-compassion. We're unpacking mindfulness, common humanity, self-kindness. I want to continue talking about adapting mindfulness, self-compassion for trauma survivors. We're all trauma survivors. And if you don't like that word, that's okay. You don't have to call yourself a trauma survivor. These are some steps that I came up with. Grounding first, always beginning with the grounding practice, safety before softness. What I like to tell you that I do most mornings when I remember is set an intention. While setting that intention, taking one deep mindful breath. So I work with students, and some of those students are 18, some are 24, some are 50, some are older than that. And sometimes I have to take a lot of deep mindful breaths during the day. I also share space with a 19-year-old. And oftentimes I have to put my hand on my heart for a soothing touch and take deep breaths, right? Anybody here with children? Well, you'll understand that when the baby gets a little older. Right now, they're very precious, precious souls. But you may have to take a deep breath now. How about online? Any parents or anyone that has been around any young person? Yep. Okay. Denny.
Oh, I was just thinking my son is 56.
Oh,
You know, one.
oh,
Yeah.
and you still have to take deep breaths? Yeah.
What can you bring up?
Yeah. Someone here in our space has a son that is 56, and the father of the 56-year-old still has to take deep breaths. So if that doesn't, yeah. Choice and agency, offering options at every step. Participants lead, facilitators follow. What does that mean? Meaning that we have a choice every single morning, afternoon, or evening to set that intention and reset our nervous system. Somatic awareness. Friends, your body keeps the score. I'm learning that more and more every single day. The nicer that we are to our nervous system, the softer that we become. The harder that we are in a nervous system, the harder that we become. If
Yeah.
you're angry, if you're upset, if you're worried, if you're living in fear, your body is holding on to every single feeling and emotion, and eventually you'll catch up. Are we going to experience those negative emotions sometimes? Yes, absolutely. Can we reset and go back to balance and be at peace as much as possible? Yes, we can. Cultural humility, honoring diverse expressions of care and community. We also heal in community. I mean, I'm just looking at all these beautiful spaces and all the good energy in this room now, and this is community, and this is healing. Um, Also, if I have any research folks in the room or online, research shows, yep, the baby's agreeing with us for the folks online that couldn't hear the baby right now. Research shows that self-compassion focused interventions significantly, reduce PTSD symptoms. Um, so another thing that I love about mindfulness self-compassion is that Western medicine and traditional Chinese medicine are finally uniting, and they're seeing that things work, healing happens. So now I'm going to invite everyone online and everyone in the room. If you feel comfortable, I want to share a few moments of self-compassion. I know we're sitting in chairs, and the chairs are actually very comfortable because they have cushion. So if you want to relax yourself in the chair and make sure that your shoulders are soft, that your neck is soft. If you're at home and you want to take your shoes off, you can. If you're here and you feel comfortable taking your shoes off, I suppose you can. Or you could keep your shoes on, whatever feels comfortable. And taking a moment to ground yourself. And that grounding could be closing your eyes. It could be keeping them open. It could be relaxing your shoulders. It could be having the soles of your feet flat on the floor. It could be feeling your spine actually on the back of the chair. And if you're taking time to ground right now, friends that are online and friends that are here with me, you are resetting your nervous system. While you're grounding, I also invite you to take a deep breath in through your nose. And you could hold it for 1 second or you could hold it for 5 seconds. And exhale through your mouth. If there is a part on your body that is feeling some type of stress, I invite you, if it feels comfortable, to take your hand, and place it on your heart or place it on any part of your body. Maybe it's your neck or your shoulder, or maybe it's your knee, any part of your body that just needs some care and some compassion and kindness. When you're ready, and there's no rush, if your eyes were closed, you could open them back up. Y'all look so relaxed. You just finished a very short grounding exercise. Now, I want you to take a moment and just ask yourself, you don't have to repeat it out loud, acknowledging how you're feeling right now in this moment. It is 7:50, and it's never going to be 7:50 on May 29th ever again. This is the only time we're ever going to be together, this date, this time. And just think about, how do you feel? My friends online, are you feeling good? Getting some thumbs up again. Thank you. After you try a grounding exercise, acknowledge the feelings that come after that, remembering that you're not alone. There's that common humanity piece. The third step would be offering kindness. What do I need to hear right now? Remembering to speak to yourself the same way that you speak to everyone else. Remember, we're kind to friends, we're kind to strangers, we're kind to family. We need to remember to be kind to ourselves. The fourth and last step is returning. So gently bringing that awareness back to the room without judgment. Without judgment is that important piece because oftentimes the reason that we're not kind to ourselves is because we think we have to be perfect. We're conditioned from being little on negative thinking patterns that maybe our parents or friends or family or culture has taught us. So bringing awareness back and remembering not to judge ourselves. Another warm reminder that I added on the bottom is that if strong emotions arise during your grounding practice, it's okay. You could come out of it. You could open your eyes and you could pause. Healing unfolds gently and healing is linear. So it's always going to be one moment at a time. Okay. So I wish I could stand here and tell you that mindfulness self-compassion is very easy. It's not. At least it's not for me. So I'm just going to be very honest with you. It's a daily practice, just like the mindfulness practice, just like the meditation practice, which I know all of you know about that. Did anyone meditate before the dinner today? Getting some yeses? That's such a gift. Friends online, I just asked the friends here, they had a meditation before the dinner. Then I asked if anyone meditated. And I'm getting some folks that meditated online as well. So when self-compassion feels hard, these are some steps that I added. There's a backdraft, there's gender dynamics, cultural barriers, and then internalized shame. The very first one, when we think about self-compassion, there is something that comes up, and that's that old pain. Some people call it pain body, some people call it a monster, some people call it activation, trigger. You could use any word that feels right for you. But this part of it is normal. And remember to go slowly and to come back to grounding. Because remember, we're humans having this human experience. Gender dynamics. Although we're in 2026, a lot of people still think, I can't be nice to myself. I have to be strong. Or there's this narrative in society that men can't feel certain things. Who came up with that? I remind my students every day, men are sacred, men are valuable. Men get to laugh, they get to cry, they get to love. Men and women are equal, and my non-binary folks as well. Everybody gets to feel emotions. Everybody gets to have mindfulness self-compassion. So self-care can feel selfish or indulgent, but it's not. Cultural barriers, I know in many cultures, especially in mine, they want you to suffer in silence. Just go to your room and cry. Don't tell anyone about that. Oh, get over it. You're going to be okay. Well, we will be okay, but we do need to be mindful. We do need to have compassion. We do need to be patient with ourselves. So remembering that collective care may feel more accessible. And again, that we heal in community. And last but not least is internalized shame. If we have the negative self-talk of, I caused this, I should have been better, I should have been smaller, I should be over it, remembering that compassion begins with challenging these narratives. Okay. Everything that we do from breath work to meditation to mindfulness, self-compassion, it's a practice. Can you see these? Okay. They look a little small. They look smaller. So small practices, big shifts. Sustainable healing doesn't come from dramatic overhauls. It comes from a small, consistent acts of self-compassion woven into everyday life. The goal is integration, not perfection. So in the morning, I shared maybe taking a deep breath, taking a few deep breaths, setting an intention, thinking a kind thought, not reaching for the phone. I'm guilty. The only time we should touch the phone in the morning is to turn the alarm off. Seriously. Remember, you're going to have 80 to 100,000 thoughts a day before you read the text messages, before you get to the emails, before you go on social media, before you listen to voicemails. Be very, very intentional to not grab the phone and start looking on that phone in the morning. Difficult moments. I could tell you about difficult moments. I'm really big on the soothing touch. I like to place my hand on my heart. That self-regulates me. Maybe that could be a practice for you. Remembering that as long as you do your best every day, that is good enough. And your best is going to change from day to day. Your best is going to change when you're sick versus when you had 8 hours of sleep. I'm the kind of person that needs 8 hours of sleep. Yes.
That is so interesting. Your hand thinking heart. I put my hands together.
Okay.
And I feel my deceased grandmother's strength in me. I feel the ancestors running in my body. And it keeps me going through my day-to-day, a very busy hospital where I get to see life and death all the time. So just knowing that she's in my genes.
Yeah.
I'm going.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that so much.
Love the heart one. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Friends online, you have to hear what one of our friends just shared. So
Romina.
Romina, ooh, okay, pretty name. So Romina, let me make sure I roll the R, said instead of putting her hand on her heart, she takes her hands and she puts them together. And please correct me if I get into this wrong. And she feels her grandmother's strength and the ancestors. So you could do any practice that works for you. And remember, everyone in this room, you have the power of your ancestors, wherever you're from, behind you, through you, empowering you. So if you ever forget, remember that. Transitions, checking in with your body between tasks. What do you need right now? My same beautiful friend that reminds me of sitting with discomfort also says and reminds me, check in with your body. Remember, we're also in a society that is go, 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 go. If we keep going, guess what, friends? We're going to get sick.
Let's see.
We're going to fall. We're going to be tired. We're going to be stressed. And I don't need to keep telling you what goes after that. So remembering to slow down. Remember to take deep breaths. Remember when you're eating to actually chew your food, to taste your food. When you're drinking your water or your tea or your coffee, to not be thinking about the next thing or having your cell phone in your hand, to just be doing what you're doing in that moment, which is taking a sip of tea or taking a sip of water. And then bedtime. Bedtime is equally important as when you wake up in the morning, not being on the phone, settling down, resetting your nervous system by taking deep breaths. And for me, I focus on gratitude. What am I grateful for? Yes, maybe today was a horrible day. Yes, maybe today I had grief. Maybe today was very stressful, but remembering that there's still gratitude in my heart. Remembering that I have food, remembering that I have my senses, remembering that I have a place to live. In the bottom, I added some resources. One of the first resources that is not on the presentation is we have our sacred temple here. There's meditation practice that you can come to. There's tea meditations and lessons on Saturdays. Hopefully I'm getting that right. We'll have a correction if I'm not. There's different apps that you could download. There's always a way that you can meditate and just come back to center. So back to the very first thing during this presentation. Can you be that good friend to yourself? You already know how to be a good friend. We know that. You've mastered that. You can be great to strangers. You can be nice to family. But remembering that mindfulness, self-compassion, that patience, that kindness to yourself, and just making sure that you always have that inward. Some key takeaways: trauma, again, is what happened to you, not what's wrong with you. Remembering that it's small, consistent practices that create a long-lasting change. Self-compassion is not weakness. I want to repeat that again. It's not weakness. It is a courageous act of love, and healing. You're not alone. That common humanity. Healing happens in community. And also, mindfulness, self-compassion can be adapted to trauma-sensitive, humble, and body-aware care. Um, I was sharing with someone in the room, I don't remember, this was about an hour ago, that I wish I would have learned about self-compassion when I was 10. Life would have been much different, or even 15, or even 20. But we learn it when we learn it, and that's the most important thing. I think that is it. These are some ways to stay connected. If you'd like to send me an email, there's my email address, or if you're on LinkedIn, again, there's more resources going to the temple's website. I also added selfcompassion.org, the Center for Mindfulness Self-Compassion.org. You could also start your own meditation group, but however, if there's one already, you could join that. Resources for everything that I added in the presentation. And I am ready to talk if anyone has any questions online or in person. Anybody, anything. Let's see. Is there anything in the chat? Let's see. Yes.
Is it live?
It's, the audio is open.
Yeah, let's go back to that just so I can see it. Oh my, let's see.
Is it,
Wait a minute.
can you see me? Oh, oh, yeah. There we go.
Nope.
There we go. Did you see?
Friends online. So I'm going to, the question was, there was a slide on small choices, and here we are. Okay.
Okay. There we go.
Yes. Oh, okay, Denny.
Yeah, okay, I have more of a comment than a question because
Okay.
I'm really glad you brought up intergenerational trauma because I know you'll be familiar with the adverse childhood experience
Very much so. I
study.
train.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is done right here in San Diego in collaboration, Kaiser Permanente, and I believe UCSD was involved in this.
Yes.
But it started out as
research
de-
dealing with eating disorders.
Mm.
And what the researchers found along the way was eating disorders are pretty much caused by trauma, childhood trauma.
Mm.
Sometimes sexual abuse, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And then they branched off and they decided, well, there's other kinds of trauma as well. And so what they did is they discovered a whole host of different kinds of trauma. They have a measurement instrument of 10 questions that, and I would say this, I'm not going to talk about the study much anymore, but it's on Wikipedia. It's called Adverse Childhood Experience. You might want to talk a little bit more about that too, but what I was going to say is that it's intergenerational. It's because you're raised as a child, you tend to do the same with your children, etc. But I want to finish on one positive note here.
Okay.
From a sociologist perspective, physical abuse is diminished in the US. We don't spank as much as we used to, for example.
Right.
So, I mean, there's hope. Wherever it happens, you can change it.
Mhm.
And I really wanted to finish with that.
Thank you, Denny.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
cycle that we're breaking.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you for that comment slash question. I could talk about ACEs. ACEs is the acronym. So if you don't know about ACEs, ACE S, and it stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. In research, finally, we're talking about it, as Denny mentioned, things that happen to us by the age of 10 are things that we carry on to adulthood. And many of those traumas come out in our 20s, sometimes 30s, and sometimes early 40s. With ACEs, though, we also have positive childhood experiences in UCSD and Kaiser, and I believe San Diego State University is doing research on that. You asked a question in that, and I lost it that fast. What was the question? Do you remember?
If you wanted to elaborate on ACE, what you're doing, of course.
Yeah. Well, you actually pretty much said the summary on what ACEs is adverse childhood experiences. The part with generational trauma is, I'll give you an example. I was spanked as a child. And I'm just being very light when I say spanked, right? I was probably, we'll just say spanked, right? So I asked my mom later in life why she did that. What do you think her answer was? I'm sorry?
Because you were misbehaving.
I like you, only if it was that logical. So friends online, one of the comments was because I was misbehaving. Actually, I was a good kid, actually. What was another answer over here? That's what her mom did to her. And guess what? That's what her mom's mom did to her. So back to Denny's comment, that is intergenerational trauma. My great grandma did it, my grandma did it, my mom did it, and guess what? Stopped with me. I ended up having a child in my life, and I never, ever hit that child. Right? And then Denny made another comment, child abuse and spanking is decreasing in the United States because guess what? Now we tell the children that they have to call CPS as soon as they're in elementary school if the parent even attempts to get them in trouble, right? So that's a whole different perhaps conversation and talk for another day, but I'm very happy that we are the child CPS, the Child Protective Services cases are decreasing in the United States, and we are not hitting children because we should not hit children, in my humble opinion, because we need to talk to them, right? So Denny, I hope that was the answer to your question. Any other questions?
We have a question online from
Okay.
Mr. Condit. So if you have a microphone, proceed.
Yeah, thank you. So my question is regarding ancestral work. I know it was brought up, and I'm very curious how that interacts with intergenerational trauma. Um,
Yeah.
like speaking from my point of view, I'm somebody who doesn't have a relationship with their grandparents. In the interactions that I did have were not very good. So it's just difficult for me to find compassion and that warm and fuzziness when I think about my ancestors. So how do I kind of, I don't know, grapple with that?
Yes, and Melissa, if it feels comfortable, could you repeat the first part of the question? The volume was low and I didn't catch the first part.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, my struggle is just ancestral work with intergenerational trauma. Like, how do I feel compassion for my ancestors, or like my ancestors are sending me compassion whenever I don't have a strong relationship with them?
Yeah. Um, well, first I want to honor that question and I want to thank you for sharing that very personal comment. Does anyone in the room want to answer that? And the reason that I bring it to the room is because I am still unpacking generational trauma as part of my personal practice and my professional practice. Um, anyone want to? Yes, please.
Yeah,
Oh, yes, so folks on the Melissa, I'm going to come back to that, but I do have someone that is part of our audience that is going to chime in.
you. Um, I don't know if I necessarily have like a viable answer, but I can kind of speak on my experience. It's just happened actually, like about a week ago. But um, I always had a difficult relationship with my mother. Um, I went and saw her about 2 weeks ago, and she had shown me letters. I didn't have a close relationship with her, but she showed me letters that he had sent to her and my grandmother while he was away. And I kind of got a better understanding of who he was, and a little bit more of like a terrible man, and quite difficult to be around. And it really gave me a strong perspective into how potentially she was treated when she was young, and that there was like a level of this person had 30 plus years before they had me, and they're an individual just like me. And it's while that's like can be hard to time, it's something that I'm continuing to work with and see her more as a whole person as opposed to just the role that she plays as my mother. I don't know if that's helpful, but it has been helpful for me.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Melissa does
Whoever
a
you
little bit
were.
of that work.
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
Melissa, yes, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I just turned the volume all the way up. I have to
Um,
navigate, but
yeah,
I can hear you.
okay. Yeah, no, whoever spoke was, I think that is really helpful. To remember that our parents and ancestors are people too, and they have the same problems. And
Yes.
yeah, I do see that. It's like the resentment has to stop somewhere.
If you choose
You
it. Yeah.
can't just keep kicking the can down the line.
Yeah.
So I see the wisdom in that. But that is the practice, I think.
And Melissa, you're answering all the questions. Yes, yes, and yes. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure you can see me, but I'm nodding my head. And remembering that our dear parents did the best they can with what they had, right? Um, and generational trauma, unless you break that generational curse, runs very deep. Yeah, yes.
Hi, this is Tim, your illustrious host, uh, more or less. But I would like to offer something that I really think is going to be what that helped me a great deal. That kid that felt victimized for whatever reason by her parents is still in there.
Mm.
And reaching back to that little kid, of kindness that we can offer ourselves. When we talk about self-compassion, um, we go, we give that little boy or that little boy or that little girl a hug and say, "I feel
Mm.
and I feel you."
Yeah.
And I've had friends of mine tell me that that sounds awfully schizophrenic, but no, it's not. Okay? That trauma, piece of us is still hurting,
Mm.
still in pain.
Mm.
When we talk kindness,
Mm.
him hurting. And we offer this that may he's still hurting. Like to that kid still in you that's hurting to say, I feel
Mm.
victimized. Shame any regret I've done in that act of kindness, I can assure you, for me, has been the most healing act I could have ever offered myself. I really, really, truly hope that that helps them.
Mm. And you're getting a lot of hearts, by the way, when you were speaking. So just wanted to share that with you. And Melissa says, thank you. And Melissa, I want to thank you again for asking that question. We don't talk about generational trauma, and we need to talk about it more. Any other questions online or in person? Comments? You had your hand up.
What Rose had said, I
Yeah.
similarly had a conversation with my mom last week
Mm.
to
Oh, yes, for our friends online. Yes. Thank you.
Hello. What I was saying was that I also had sure. Also had a conversation with my mom last week. Also discussed parenting. As I was on a week-long journey, kind of in the wilderness. Tending to myself, definitely tending to my inner child. Sometimes very literally, holding myself and having stuffed animals.
But talking to my mom, she has things
I'm not
that some of the things that she did or her behaviors when I was younger. And she offered, you know, I was only able to parent
Cutting that.
that I had at the time. And I very much believe that. And it's that
she did
this
this
is what she could at that time.
Mm.
Yeah. So maybe nuggets.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. To just, reiterate what everyone has said, being kind to our parents, which I know can be extremely hard, especially if they're still mean or not nice to us. Being kind, being kind, being kind. Anyone else? You already knew everything I shared? Of course you did. Yes, of course you knew everything about mindfulness, self-compassion. Again, I can't tell you how much I'm in love with this topic. I have the privilege of working with young people every day as a teacher, and I remind them they're a gift. They're a gift. I wish someone would have told me that when I was a teenager, or even a little kid would have been nice. But again, I'm sharing that with you because I feel that, right? See that little baby right there? Y'all online can't see this baby, but there's a precious little baby. How old is the baby that you're holding?
5 months.
5 months. Imagine having a baby 5 months and speaking to that baby every day. I'm getting some wows. Yes, we have a 5-month-old in the audience. Imagine having this baby 5 months old and telling this baby every day, "You're a gift. You're a gift. You're a gift." Reconditioning the right brain, their left brain. If their amygdala was ever to get hijacked, that baby is always going to know that they were a gift and they're a gift. And the wonders it's going to do for that self-esteem, the wonders it's going to do for that baby's mindfulness, self-compassion. That's why language is so important. And if it doesn't start at 5 months old and you have a young person around you, let them know. But it really doesn't matter what your age is. It could be 20, 30, 40, 50, 80, remembering that you're the gift, remembering to being kind to yourself. Am I missing anything? I see a lot of things in the chat. Any other? Anything else? Questions, comments? Y'all are so quiet. Ready to go? Yes, Denny. Oh, please. Okay, Denny. Denny's back, so you're gonna hear from Denny. And I just want to see. Oh, Melissa, is that another question or is that a?
Oh, yeah.
We did not have closed captions. I will relate that back to VMC that we did not have closed captions on this. Yes, I apologize for that. Okay, Denny.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
You mentioned earlier
Ballpark
ancestors, and I completely
concur that, the last couple of years I did, two books. One was on, my,
can't
kin, my own memoir, but the other one was on my ancestors and the
my family
family.
stuff.
And it
And
went all the way back to great
great,
great grandfather. And
and
in that exploration, I found that he
he
had two boys that were born in Sweden. They were immigrants,
Okay.
and they fought in the Civil War.
Oh.
And
and
one
one was killed in
was, the other one came back with malaria and died at age 41.
Mm.
But the bottom line, what I'm trying to say is, you mentioned that we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, and that's true.
Yeah.
Because we owe them so much. It's incredible, and we don't even realize
Yeah.
how much we owe them. And it really brings, it
it
exemplifies
exemplifies
a
major
Buddhist
uh,
concept
Yeah.
of interdependence
Mm-hmm.
and of causes and conditions, and the fact that we're all in the same boat together.
Common humanity.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
we
we
tend to take
take
our
our
ancestors for
ancestors
granted, or we just
no
ignore them. They're
Mm-hmm.
very,
very
very,
or
because
because
what they did is they allowed us to flourish today. in
Yeah.
life. Thank you.
Thank you, Denny. And I cannot stand here and not give Romina the proper due. She brought up the ancestors before I even did in the talk. So I want to just say that. Really big on that. But the ancestors, that's another thing we need to remember. Our heart is the biggest gift that we have, because if you're sitting here now and your heart's pumping and you have your eyesight and your hearing and your sense of smell and your sense of taste, and you could use your hands to pick up something like a water bottle, and you have your feet and your legs, friends, you are blessed, because there's people that don't have that. There's people that can't do that. And you have the ancestors behind you and inside of you. I mean, good grief, you're powerful. You can't be stopped. But you just have to remember that. So thank you for that, Denny. Um, Anyone online, any closing questions, comments? I love the hand on heart feeling. It is calming and recentering. Thank you. Gratitude is a priority. Thank you. Thank you, Gail. Yeah, I know sometimes I'm walking around campus with my hand on my heart and breathing, and people are like, is she okay? Yes, she is. She's just centering and regulating. Um, Anyone else? Y'all are ready to go. I get it. It is Friday. No.
All right, well, nothing heard, so we're gonna go ahead and thank the good Professor Penhos for a beautiful lecture to us this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we would like to mention that our next Thanks Buddha for Friday hybrid will be titled From Shrine to Street, Practice of Humanistic Buddhism by Ina Denton. And that is going to be 26th of June, 2026. Same that time, same back channel, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Pacific time. And it's going to be online the same. So thank you very much, everyone online, and we appreciate you and have very, very beautiful.
Thank you, Melissa. And thank you to the temple, and thank you to all of you, and thank you, Venerable. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you
Thank you,
to
my
all my
friends.
friends online. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Nice to see everyone. Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay. Thank you.